Hello, I'm Greg with Brown the Rights, and today I'm going to introduce you to the coolest shelving system I have ever seen. As you might have guessed, we're talking about the Lev Rack system. I just discovered this thing here about a couple of months ago, I think, and I've been having a storage problem for quite some time. There's just too much inventory, too much stuff, and let's face it, too much hunting gear, right? So I've been trying to go about building an expansion. I wanted to do an addition. Well, right now, the market is just not very good. The cost of doing new construction is just through the roof. And so it was really discouraging. I didn't really want to do that. Then too, the time of biting off a big construction project, I just really wasn't excited about doing that at all. So it's fairly fortuitous that I was just going through Instagram one day and saw a Lev Rack. And I thought, Lev Rack, what is that? And I saw this shelf magically move without being in contact with the floor. So I dug deeper into it and I said, okay, I need to try that out. That looks to be amazing. As you may have gathered, the Lev Rack system is basically a hanging shelf. They've taken a pallet rack, and this, folks, this is like industrial grade pallet rack here. This is not like Home Depot special type stuff. This unit here will support somewhere around 8,000 pounds, I think. It's a tremendously heavy duty pallet rack system, and they've hung these shelves on trolleys. So if you want to get into one of these things, you just roll it. Now they're all empty right now, so they roll kind of goofy. They kind of stutter a little bit because there's no weight in them. But once I get them loaded full of stuff, that won't be the case anymore. But this is kind of a revolutionary way of thinking of shelving. So each of these vertical units here is a shelf, but it's a shelf that's stored this way. Now, the entire system hangs on these big rails inside here. It hangs from a very large heavy-duty rail system that's on the inside of this pallet rack. And each one of these vertical shelves can hold 800 pounds. And they're very heavy, sturdy shelves that are powder coated, and there doesn't seem to be any sharp edges on them either. I mean, they're really well thought out. One really awesome thing here is I'm kind of a neat guy. And I don't like clutter and mess and stuff where it's not supposed to be. So because these are hanging and they're not in contact with the floor, you can fully vacuum underneath all of these. You just slide the shelves open in the area that you'd like to clean, and you can clean the entire floor underneath these things. The other thing that I hate is when you're working next to shelving and you accidentally drop something. Right? A little piece of whatever goes rolling underneath the shelf, and then you're down there with a long stick and a flashlight trying to get it out from under there. Well, if anything rolls under these, you just slide the shelves around until you find it. Now, one thing I was really kind of excited about also was the fact that I can do something with my corner space. Typically speaking, I just stack a bunch of stuff in the corner. I have two shelving systems butting up against it, and the stuff in the corner basically never gets seen by man again. Well, with the Lev Rack system, you can stuff one of these Lev Racks back in the corner, and you can put another one up against it. And I did leave some space here because I have some stuff that I need to shove back there. But in order to use all this corner space, you can actually get to the stuff back here. So if I just open this Lev Rack, I can have plenty of room to walk through here. And these are 30-inch shelving systems here, so it's not like they're really skinny or something like that. So I can get back here and have full access to everything that's in the corner without having to trap everything back there. The shelves are fully supported by heavy-duty caster wheels up here, and the entire assembly moves along that rail. The shelves themselves do not contact the floor. Each of these cabinets has fully adjustable shelf height with a number of different styles of shelves or pull-out drawers or various things. These little holes in the back here, it's very standard shelving. You've all seen this type of attachment before. So you just put the cross braces in at whatever increment you'd like. So you can set the spacing of these however is best suited for you. I ordered a few of these super cool gator hooks. They're a magnetic hook, and they hold, I think, up to 25 pounds. You can see I need to pull on this thing pretty good before it actually starts moving. And the way that you move these things around is this little lever right here. You pull this lever out, and it basically yanks the magnet off the back side of this thing. And then when you go to stick it back up, it's very firmly attached. And so this is cool for hanging jackets, coveralls, whatever. Anything that's not super heavy, but they're very easy to move around too. So you can mount it wherever you want to on your Lev Rack system. One thing that is a little different about the Lev Rack is that you reverse load the shelves in terms of the weight distribution. Because gravity is basically coming from the top, you want to put the heaviest items up on the top and the lightest items down on the bottom, which, hey, that's kind of cool because lifting stuff up off the floor almost, when your normal shelves, all the heavy stuff's down on the bottom and you got to bend over, and sometimes you got to kill your back because it's all stuffed inside this deep shelf. Whereas with the Lev Rack system, you can put all the heavy stuff up where you can get at it, and you don't have to torture your back to get a hold of it. Setup and installation was fairly straightforward. They came in a pallet, basically. They were all kind of palletized, one system per pallet, and you just pull everything off there and set it up kind of in the order that it comes out of the box. Pretty straightforward setup. There's nothing really complicated about it. If you've built anything in your life, you can very easily build one of these. I would recommend having 2 or 3 people total, maybe 4 guys to help. It'll go faster is the thing. There is some parts of it that are kind of cumbersome, and there's a lot of little bolts and nuts and fasteners to use. But I didn't have to drill anything out. There was no fabrication required. These things came out of the pallet and went together mostly without issue. There was a couple of little corners here and there that needed a rubber mallet to get their attitude adjusted. But other than that, it was just straight up assembly. There wasn't any fabrication required in order to get these things in. It just all kind of snapped together and went together mostly as advertised. Depending on your level of skill when it comes to these types of things, I would say you're looking at probably 2 to 3 hours per system. Now, our first one, I think, took us maybe 3 hours and 20 minutes or something. The second one we got done in probably 2 hours. By the time we got to the third one, we were pretty much pros at it at that point. It went together in about an hour, 15 minutes, I think. There was just 3 of us, so it wasn't like we had a team of people working on this thing. There are a couple of improvements that I think they could make that would make the assembly much easier. Each of these vertical cabinets has a back, and it's a big piece of metal, basically a large sheet of metal. And that sheet has 2 holes in the top of it, and you need to place those holes very precisely. And when you're putting those holes with the bolts up and trying to hang them on these little rolling trucks, you can't see. So it's kind of a blind operation. I think if they would just bend, make a little hook or a little ledge on the truck system and then bend a hook on the sheets, the backs of these things, and then you could just hang the sheet up on the hook and then attach the side panels to it. That would make installation probably per unit, you could probably get that down to like an hour tops. Because I bet you each one of those little sheets, we had to fish around and mess around with those little bolts. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of those on the 12-footer, right? So that's a lot. You're dealing with a lot of these different shelves and backing systems here. So if they would make that one change, and it was the only real drastic change that stuck out, where you could just hang these sheets on a little lip or something when you're assembling these cabinets, that would speed up installation by a whole bunch and be way less frustrating. Because everything else was not frustrating at all. It just was put the bolt through the hole and put a nut on the end of it. I mean, it was very basic and very easy to deal with. Now, this system from Lev Rack has been out for like quite a few years. I actually felt like I was kind of cheated because I just heard about it. And so I wanted to make sure I get this video out quickly after I get these things set up for you guys. But now I'm going to stop recording and I'm going to fill all these things up with stuff. At least you guys get to see them when they're not all cluttered up. I hope you've enjoyed this introduction to the Lev Rack shelving system. If you have any questions, I'm sure you can reach out to them on the phone, or jump on their website or email them. And I know they have an Instagram profile as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.